Good day, viewers at home. This is Mompoloki Makwana and welcome to the Celebrating Greatness. This is the segment where we are hosting individuals who are creating impact in their communities. Today, I have none other than Pearl Ranna, the co-founder and the CEO of Agri Investec. Pearl, welcome to the show.
Hi Mompoloki, thank you so much for having me today.
I'm quite amazed by the work, and I was looking at your profile, 2 master's degree, and you're also co-founding and the CEO of Agri Investec. Yes. What is it that you do?
Well, I'm an agricultural enthusiast. Yeah. I always love to say that. But basically, I do quite a lot of stuff when you look at the agricultural industry holistically. I wear different hats. I am a livestock farmer. I am also an agricultural policy analyst focusing in Botswana and Sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah. And also a programs developer and a consultant in the agricultural industry.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Where does this come from? For all the programs that you have, like Agriculture with Pearl, where does this come from? What inspired you to go into the space of agriculture?
My inspiration was drawn from the exposure that I had from quite an age where I was not quite sure what I wanted to do in life. Yeah. In terms of my career and my profession, which was in high school. I learned quite a lot from my mom, who I believe has been my mentor and someone who has been showing me the ropes and the strides in the agriculture industry when she was a farmer. She still is a farmer. Yeah. So, but from farming, I evolved from agricultural policy analysis. I developed programs. So I started as a farmer, but now I feel like I'm now in the corporate space of agriculture, hence why now I am running the Agri Investec, which is a development and consultancy agency.
That's amazing work. I want to know the transition from high school and the option of saying, this is what I want to study, to equip myself into that. It was intentional, I can see. How did that exposure into studying and being abroad help you into becoming this person who's well-rounded into agricultural space?
Yeah. So a lot of people have been fortunate enough to know what they wanted to be at a very young age in primary. But then when I was in high school, I was like, I think the only option that I thought I had was to go and help my parents in their family business. So I pursued my degree in business enterprise. Yeah. But then along the way, doing my degree, that's when my passion and the fire kept burning for me to go into farming, and that is when I took a totally different direction and got into farming in tertiary. I started my actual business when I was still in tertiary. So from then on, that's when I went to pursue my master's in agriculture and development, and then my second master's in international development and policy. So all of these qualifications, all of this education, this exposure, this traveling molded my understanding of I'd like to actually create such a great social impact in my community by paving a way towards sustainable agricultural practices and policy development.
Yeah, I see that one of the programs is African Young Farmers Network, which now you are not focusing only in our country, Botswana. You are also looking at the Sub-Saharan, industry. That kind of thing. How was the transition into now looking into not only local, impact, but also growing it to the outside borders?
So I used to, I started first by doing small boot camps for rural youth in agriculture, rural farmers actually in Botswana. It was more of a pilot study to see what is it that is lacking, what is it that young people actually need, and also with the struggles that I also faced and the challenges in farming as a young person, I was able to actually tailor-make a program which is continental, because I believe now it's not a matter of training or mentoring young people, it's a matter of exposing them to what is happening outside of Botswana. Now that we've actually even signed our African Free Trade Agreement, which means we can be able to exchange knowledge, to exchange skills on different farming practices throughout the whole Sub-Saharan African continent. That is hence why we actually created this African Young Farmers Network, which will be able to pave a way towards improved participation from young farmers around the continent.
And the issue of young farmers, maybe someone may not know that you're also looking at young mothers who are into farming, like trying to capacitate that leadership, and the fact that we know from way back that mothers, and my grandmother was a big fan into farming.
Exactly.
Even at an older age, will say, you are already old, right?
Yes.
So now that turn of focusing on mothers, what brought about that?
Yes. So I'm a young single mother myself, and I'm very proud of that. But when at the early stages when I had now become a mother, I was running my business and farming.
I see.
So there were a lot of challenges, not challenges internally of running the business, but there was a lot of societal discrimination of you cannot be a mother and be running a business and be, you know, and then you don't understand the entrepreneurial factors that affect you as a young mother, as a woman as well. So I created a non-profit which is about to launch. It's Mothers Rise Up, which is meant to actually educate, train and mentor young single mothers in rural areas who can actually utilize agribusiness as a paved way to actually being financially and entrepreneurially independent, because we see a lot of struggles that young mothers face. So you know, we're like, let's try create an environment where young mothers can be able to share resources, whether social resources, financial resources, for them to be equipped in a way that they can be standing alone there and running their own business, but also being good parents, because I believe that it's cross-cutting towards professional, personal and social development, which is lacking in our community amongst young mothers such as ourselves. So that is, I was trying to bridge a gap between mothers and agriculture, which I see now is the trend amongst young people.
And I think talking about the issues of gender-based violences and issues, you find that with this thing promoted by now taking that side of agricultural aspect into now helping them to establish businesses. How are you finding it easy or challenging into turning the mindset of saying agriculture is just for eating, but also sustainable agriculture to create enterprises where people can actually say ke producer and they are empowered economically?
First, sometimes, you know, you have to deal with a changing in mindset. That is one of the biggest barriers you find when you're trying to introduce something that's very different, a proof of concept. So what I realized was, if you have a group of people who have the same experiences, who have the same challenges, they become so empowered amongst each other because they understand. If I have the same problem as you, I'm open enough to talk to you about it. But if I have to go to a counselor who doesn't understand, I'm not that open enough to discuss those issues and challenges, because these are issues that a lot of young people face. You're talking also about gender-based violence. There are a lot of young mothers right now who are now depending on other men financially, which now ends up being financial abuse, because you know that you depend on this man to be able to feed you and your child, and if you don't do certain things, there's nothing you can get. So it's been a very wonderful challenge. I love challenges, so it's been a very wonderful transition of not really trying to introduce the program, but trying to shift the mindset of the people who you're trying to help, because at the end of the day, you cannot bring something and just put it out there and implement it. The people that you're giving them the tools and equipping, they need to understand why you're doing that. And it has been good that I know the challenges they experience, because I'm a young mother myself. I've gone through it, so they look at me like, if she can do it, I can do it. So that's how empowerment and inspiration and all the connectivity comes together.
And I think the issue of authenticity as well, you know, taking it from someone who have gone through that. We talked about mindset shift. There is a term that is new now, knowledge-based economy. You are empowering them through knowledge and also how they can sustain themselves. Someone looking at you maybe say, like you are saying, I am a mother, maybe I'm a single mother, but where do I start? Where did it all start in transition with the knowledge acquisition that you had to go through, and the shifting of the mindset maybe you had from a young age to becoming who you are today? What did you face, and what did you have to go through in building the Pearl that we see today?
Okay, when I got into the agricultural industry, I expected, because Botswana is a country where over 70% of our population is farming, I expected that I would be learning quite a lot from existing and commercially sustainable farmers, but it wasn't the case. Mentorship is a problem in our country in terms of not a lot of farmers are willing and able to open doors for you and sit down with you and help you. And you know, because of that challenge, I came up with an easier way of, you know, accessing resources which are abundant to us, which is the Ministry of Agriculture. They have everything: the crop production department, animal production, agribusiness department. We have Facebook nowadays, I use it as Google. I was telling someone the other day, like, you no longer need to go on a Google search engine. You can just easily type what you want on Facebook and you'll see all the posts and videos and comments, even events. I'm one person who's always been intentional about events and workshops that I attend. So I've always been, I every single day I make sure that I learn something. So it's a matter of being hungry for knowledge. Being hungry for knowledge meaning even if it means buying your Farmer's Weekly. I think a lot of people know that every week I have to have a Farmer's Weekly on a Monday. If I don't, just like Sunday Standard, that people who believe every Sunday I need to buy Sunday Standard. With me, every Monday I need to buy Farmer's Weekly, because there's always something new that I learn from it. And from learning, I was able to sound and look like a professional. Hence, I had to go and pursue agriculture as an academic background, because people used to think I went to the University of Agriculture, and I'm like, but I never went there. But it's maybe because of the knowledge that I have, and that knowledge has been able to be, I acquired it in different ways, different methods, talking to people, reaching out, knocking on doors, getting up and going to get what I really want, because by sitting down at home, sometimes you won't get everything that you want. So you have to try different ways, different avenues of acquiring the knowledge that you need. And I try to encourage a lot of people to read, to travel, to be exposed, to go beyond the limits of what the resources that you have around you, to gain that knowledge, access to knowledge.
And I can see you exercising that issue of standing out and finding information. You also have introduced the annual Women in Farming Expo.
Yes.
Can you talk about that for people who are saying, but where can we meet? Where can we find an environment where we are learning from those who are already doing something, and so that we can benchmark and work from them? Can you talk about that?
Yes. So in 2016, I started an event. It was the Women in Farming Expo, and that expo was actually an event that celebrated women who are contributing to our nation's food basket. Wow. But then it ended up being a whole event of women networking from different countries in the SADC region. Wow. Women sharing skills, sharing challenges, sharing knowledge, because after that event, even till now, I have women who come up to me and say, if it wasn't for that event, I wouldn't have started farming. Wow. So you realize that it's not even about knowledge, is an empowerment tool.
Sure, it is.
If you just know something that's very small, it can push you to wake up early in the morning and be like, I need to go do this, because now I have that bit of information. Yeah. So we created a network of women who can help and support each other, because I mentioned even at the event that the reason I started this is because I felt like we didn't have enough of information sharing. In farming, you'd be surprised, as much as we know quite a lot, that people who actually keep some information a secret to themselves, because it's just like any other business. Every business has that secret to success, just like the Coke. We know Coke has its own ingredients and recipe, which is very secret to all these other competitors that they have. So I believe also in farming, you need to go out there. Don't feel bad if you don't get information that you want from other people, but try and see a way in attaining that knowledge.
I like that. Thank you. And I'm thinking that a young person sitting at home listening to this may say, graphic design, farming, I see your pictures. When I look home, you are doing all these things, all these activities, day-to-day activities, right? And there are people who the video. I want to do packaging. Some people tend to think farming as in agriculture, the growing of plants, and like right now as we are doing that, a videographer here can get paid for shooting content about agriculture.
Exactly.
There's so much that we can leverage on internet.
Yes.
What would you, with your exposure and going around conferences in South Africa, what have you learned that other young people can tap into, even if they are not doing the plowing and the rearing of animals?
Sometimes I always try to tell people that when we look at agriculture, we only look at farming. Farming is only the primary sector of agriculture, with the secondary and the tertiary, which is providing services. So you have a lot of talented young people who are not just focused on farming, who can actually provide services or provide products which can enhance agricultural productivity, which goes back to the root of farming. We have a lot of engineers in the IT industry, for example. Nowadays there's a new technology of livestock intelligence, which is producing products which can actually help monitor your livestock, which prevents theft. Or you can introduce technologies such as apps, or you can just introduce services that can help enhance a farmer to be able to produce in a certain way, producing inputs, because I feel like sometimes I want to be in agriculture. Everyone thinks of farming. And there are people who love farming, but they don't want to get dirty.
True.
So I feel it's a matter of positioning yourself and seeing what is it that I'm talented at. You talk about graphic designing. There are companies out there produced by young people who go around shooting videos. They have over excess of 3,000 videos which they shoot and they package and they distribute or sell to schools or sell to companies or do on social media. So it's a matter of being innovative and creative of how you can fit your skills, your passion into the agricultural sector. And it's something that I talk about a lot on social media, hence why my Facebook page is actually Agriculture with Pearl. It's not Pearl the farmer or Farming with Pearl, because I want people to understand that agriculture is a broader term of food security and agricultural development, which we can tap into in terms of knowledge-based economy, we can tap into in terms of entrepreneurial development. And that's why you find myself sitting here. I now moved from actual farming now to saying, okay, now I have a development and consultancy agency which offers services to farmers which they actually need, instead of saying she only does farming, but I do some of the other things in the whole value chain of agricultural development.
Can we talk about your agency?
Yes.
What does it do? Who is it targeting?
Yes.
And what is its long-term vision for you and for Africa and for the global world at large? You know, the population is increasing and the food is not. Producers, we have more consumers than producers.
Very true.
Where do you position yourself there with your agency?
So Agri-Investec is a fairly new startup. I co-founded with my partner. So what Agri-Investec does, it focuses on development services for farmers, what farmers really need, but with a focal point on financial inclusion. We know that farmers are one of the demographics which are unbanked, or which we can easily say don't have access to finances. So we are trying to come up with innovative financial models and financial tools which can give a farmer easier access to finances, not just finances as well, but microinsurance as well as savings and everything that can actually improve not just financial literacy but financial implementation of smallholder farmers. This is one of the problems I used to face a lot, which is cash flow. You'll be supplying your products to probably the black market or not the retail market. So sometimes, and you know, where you're going to get money to be going buy 20 bags of feed in such an urgent time. So you find that some farmers don't have access to finances which are very quick enough for them to answer the problems they have immediately. Look what happened to the whole BMC when farmers had a short flow of cash flow because they were not getting paid on time, which meant for when they were suffering. So who's going to help them in such a time of need? Because our financial institutions are currently not answering the needs that farmers have. So we created Agri-Investec saying, you know what, look, let's try and fill in the gap of lack of access to finance for smallholder farmers. And that is something that I feel as young farmers we really need, because we have a lot of financial programs which are not really answering the need for farmers, because not only do farmers need finance, but they need capacity building after you fund them. Hence you have a high rate of farmers who get money from banks or from any financial institution and they can't repay them back. So we are trying to come up with a holistic approach of answering what is it that farmers really need in terms of financial assistance, as well as offering consultancy to other parastatals or institutions that are funding farmers as well. So we're putting ourselves in the middle of financial institutions and other insurance companies that are actually providing finances or any insurance related products to farmers.
All right. What would be your last word to a farmer, a producer, just for consumption, and also to someone who say, I want to go into farming, but I don't know which steps to take? And also on top of that, are we going to see the Women in Farming Expo coming very soon or no? And then also your last word to our viewers.
Yes, I think the last word which I'd have for any farmer out there is to actually think about farming as a business, any other business, because I think the first failure that we really have is not taking as a business, because you find that the people who produce without even doing something as simple as market analysis. You don't know who you're selling to after you produce your tomatoes. You didn't go out there and find out who's farming, how much are people buying tomatoes for. So it's a matter of taking farming as a business, not as a hobby or retirement plan. That is something that I like to stress out quite a lot. And the fact that we need to learn. You need to learn every single day as an entrepreneur in the agribusiness sector. And with regards to the Women in Farming Expo, we have currently halted it because we're trying to do other avenues which we feel can have a much better impact and a much better reach. And with that being said, I never had much to say, but apart from I encourage people to interact with me a lot on social media. I'm one person who's always on social media and ready to answer any questions, any comments that people have on my Agriculture with Pearl page. So I think that is just about it that I have to say today.
So they can contact you more page or Agriculture with Pearl.
Yes, because I feel that's the one they can have a direct conversation with, which can be No, thank you so much, Pearl, for insightful knowledge. I am really happy to have hosted you, and we are looking towards a great year of growth. This is 2020.